045. At Youth TV, we connect audiences for the best of your event.
Do you have Uganda at heart? How about buying products made in Uganda?
A very good morning, everyone watching us live here at Youth TV. I am Sam Himsiwe, the host to this very program, a program that streams live to the comfort of your, wherever you are, on whichever device that you have, a program that is here to discuss issues that pertain and concern us as the youth. Welcome, this is the third edition of the Youth Feedback. Previously, we have discussed very many issues that are being followed up, and for anyone who is well versed with what is going on, efforts are underway for us to achieve the results that we need. Last Sunday, we talked about the affordability of online learning, and efforts, as I already said, are already underway. And this very Sunday, we discuss one of the most important issues that affect us in our societies and also that are pertinent to us as humanity. Before we can introduce, I would like us to, first of all, welcome our guests that we have in studio. I am privileged to have distinguished ladies from the Youth Fraternity for Change. We have Akampurira. She is the Communications and Advocacy Officer for that very organization. And we have Agaba Brenda, who is the Assistant Programs Officer for the same. I would like to, first of all, welcome you to the show and give you an opportunity to say hi to our viewers and also share with us how the week has been before we can start. I will start with you, Brenda.
Well, my name is Agaba Brenda, the Assistant Programs Officer of Youth Fraternity for Change, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. How has the week been and how is work?
Well, I'm sure everyone is experiencing the same. I mean, the means of transport given the COVID situation. But we shall be fine.
Okay. Then you Praise.
Thank you. I'm Praise Akampurira with Youth Fraternity for Change, and I'm so glad to be here.
Yes.
And the week was fine with the rain and everything, but it was good.
Yes, some of the very important issues that we need to thank God for is the rain. It has, well said, we have really been experiencing very hot conditions, but now it is something that we need to thank God for, also for the life that He's given us. I would like to, first of all, let the viewer out there to know what Youth Fraternity for Change does in brief. I will start with you.
Thank you, Sam. Basically, what Youth Fraternity for Change does is, first of all, it's a young women and girls organization that was registered in 2014 in Imbarara. Right now, it operates in Imbarara and Singlet District, southwestern Uganda. We are into fighting women's rights, ending child marriages and teenage pregnancies, ending violence against young women and girls, enhancing economic empowerment for young women and girls that are vulnerable. We are into girl leadership. Yeah, basically, that's it.
Well said from the Communications and Advocacy Officer for Youth Fraternity for Change. So we can now get the deeper insights into what we are going to discuss today. Today we discuss the teenage pregnancies and the early marriages that are in our society. This is an issue that has awashed our media left, right, and center, and it is something that has existed, only that in COVID-19, it is when it has been catalyzed, it is when it has been stimulated by, of course, the fact that most of the people are reluctant, there is less to do. And so today I would like us to first of all paint this picture and let the viewer out there who might not know what is taking place. How is the general picture generally in the entire nation? Like, of course, we read in newspapers of the numbers, districts report the number of cases they have. So according to you, what, as Youth Fraternity for Change, what is the picture in the public concerning that? I will start with you.
Okay. Well, when we talk of child marriages, we basically mean these unions, whether formal or informal, because we have cases of where older people engage younger people and they get married, like formally, either in church, in mosques, whether culturally. Yeah. So it's basically a union that's between two partners, where either of the partners is below the age of 18. When we look at a broad perspective, say in Uganda is the host to 5 million child brides. Yeah, 1.3 of these were married by the age of 15. The highest, we say that the highest child marriages in Uganda, the child marriages in Uganda are highest in areas that are rural or far to reach, say villages and most marginalized communities like refugee settlements. In this case, we look at the Albert region, that side of, there are refugee settlements that side, and the areas of Byumbe,
yes,
Bidi side, basically because they are refugee host communities. Yeah, so that makes them that puts these girls at a higher risk of getting engaged in child marriages. Yeah, and then we also look at Uganda. Like Uganda at large was ranked 16th in the whole of Africa and 18th in the whole world. Yeah, so it's
two positions down.
Yeah, 16th in Africa, then 18th in the whole world. Well, we're not doing as bad as South Asia. Yeah, those Asian countries.
Is that ranking based on the countries that have the highest number
of child marriages? Yeah.
Oh no, that must be bad.
Very bad. However, the Ugandan government and very many organizations have come up with very many interventions to address this. And to some extent, it has been covered, we could say, though not to a desired level. Yeah, for example, a lot has been done, like keeping girls in school, availing them with funds, and a lot more.
Yes.
But at some extent, it has not worked. Yeah, because some of these parents go behind the law and negotiate with the perpetuators, say the men that involve these young girls.
Yes.
Yeah, because when we look at some of the factors that drive these children into marriages, most of them are family-based, say poverty. Like when these girls come from families that are not really well off.
We shall come deeper into the causes of that.
Okay.
She talked about those numbers being very high in refugee areas and some of those rural areas.
Yeah.
In a report that was published on the 21st of May 2021, last year, an organization called Faraway, in partnership with UN Women and others, with the new vision that published it, we saw that they conducted a survey in 25 districts. And surprisingly, Kampala was at the top with 24,059 cases of that. What do you make of that? Are we even safe?
Thank you. First of all, it's tragic that after the pandemic came in, that is when the government actually realized that child marriages were an actual issue. Like, yeah, they've been saying these things, but they're like, you know, it's not priority. So actually also UNICEF did another survey showing 2020 trends. It showed 10% of in 2020, 10% of the girls that got married were under 15, and then 40% were under 40. What does that mean? And usually people don't give it as in they think Kampala can't have, you know, such cases. We have a network, or we may say like partners. There's an organization called Raising Teenagers, and they work in Kampala, but they tell you that child marriage cases there, they're alarming. I mean, this is a city. Like, you would think everything is okay. These things happen back in the villages, but just because the slum areas, it's actually terrible in the slum areas, because parents there and children there have, like, poverty is at the highest level. The groups, the peer pressure there is unbelievable. So girls are at higher risks.
Yes.
Yeah. So most efforts and implementations and interventions also need to be focused in such areas. Yeah, not just in the villages or one, but also in the slum urban area.
Now, in that very report, and in the survey that was conducted, Kampala was the first, Wakiso was the second, Mukono was the third. No, those cities where we expect even all the efforts to combat and mitigate this, at least we expect them to start from there. Also, we expect the parents and even the plight of at least sex education to be very high and positive in those areas. But still, all those efforts, even when that awareness has been campaigned and it is throughout, and people know what to do, still we find that still cases keep on multiplying, keep on increasing. What do you think is the cause to that?
To me, I think that two reasons as of now. Like, it's been like this. I think this is a new discovery that limited access of comprehensive sexuality education to girls and boys, and also the parents and the community at large, and then also population growth increases.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we are fighting. Like, we are trying to end child marriages. Yes, it shows. Actually, it showed that in Africa, child marriages would actually decrease, but because of the population growth, it's putting down our efforts. Yeah. So I think those would be the two reasons. And for the population growth, I think we need to sensitize the communities about, you know, family planning and all that. Yeah.
You talked about causes. You highlighted in your first submission about the causes of this. Could you briefly take us deep on what causes all this? We accept and we appreciate the efforts that government and also other institutions, like, of course, at school we have that, but still those causes are rampant, and we would like to know what is at the deep end of all this.
Well, thank you, Sam. My argument here is that, okay, it's not one, there are very many, but the sole cause of child marriages is poverty. Yeah, because when you see most of the reasons Why most of these girls...
Poverty in rural areas or even urban areas generally?
Generally, yeah, because some of these girls will drop out of school to get married because there is no school fees. Yeah, given this COVID situation, there are very many parents out there that have given their kids away to get married because there is no food at home, or because she thinks if this girl goes and gets married, she will get food at home.
Does that explain why it is rampant in COVID?
In COVID, yeah. Because there is no money at home, people are not working, and the kids are not in school. Well, those are like 3 points in one. One is most of these girls have dropped out of school, and if they are not in school and they are not working, they have not pursued a career, they will definitely get married. Yeah, that is one. And then the other one is poverty at home. Say, actually, some of these parents, they still do look at girls as assets, you know, because she knows if this girl gets married, they'll be given cows, they'll be given property, they'll be given money. Yeah, so that's second. And then the other thing is early pregnancies. Some of these girls, when they drop out of school, there are very few of them who will consider going back to school after giving birth. Besides, there are also very few parents that will be willing to take their children back to school after they've been engaged in, you know, such activities. Yeah.
Concerning that, still another report, as I already said, this is all over media.
Yeah.
In Tororo, the report that was there, over 5,000 girls were, of course, found to be pregnant at an early age, whereby even the list, like a child who had 9 years was also among those. Is that to the extent of poverty? You want to tell me that if this parent is so poor, at least there is no humanity extent to, you know, reach at the point of giving away somebody of 9 years?
Well,
what causes that?
Well, you talked of Tororo. I am not so well versed, but I've been there. In this case, it's a border district, right? Yeah, it's next to Busia. And next to Busia, Kenya, right? And we talked about areas that have the highest child marriage rates. We didn't talk of border districts because there is a lot that happens at the borders. If you've watched or seen anything that happens at the borders, it's usually the girls and women. And most of these girls are young. Yeah? So there is no way your mother will stay home. Rather, there is some way your mother, she'll definitely carry you, so you go and see what happens there. Besides, most of these kids will have to go and work so they can have something to put in their stomach. Yeah, and if they are working, they're out there looking for something to eat, they're going to meet these men. You know, it's a border district, trucks are crossing, there are men all over, they're exposed. Okay, that's what I would say.
What comes into my mind is that for somebody of 9 years to be indulged in such, I think there is something we are not focusing on. That should be defilement. There are other causes to that. If you could take us deeper into those other causes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's tragic and it's no news because in South Asia, even at 8, kids are married off to older men. But this side, in Uganda, definitely it's, as in you said, what level of someone is she or he on to have no humanity?
Yes.
And render such a child in such a situation, but as in we are different. You may look at it and be like, how can someone possibly do that? But it's normal, as in it's normal, serious business. Okay, in this scenario, you know the child-headed family. What brings that? Usually it's because of conflicts and maybe divorce between parents. The other parent takes his own way, and then the mother the other side, leaving a child, a 13-year-old child, or 10, or even 12, to fend for the siblings. We have such a case, as in, this is a live scenario. Like, we have a girl that we are helping right now because she dropped out of school and she feels like she can't go to school leaving her siblings home. So she has to stay home. We are trying to, empower her economically with information, But then imagine the kind of situation that girl is in. She's young, the siblings are also young. So what would stop that girl from getting married? I mean, she's looking for security. Yeah, usually by those girls get married because they want security. Even the parents, actually there's this statement, parents usually say, my child would rather be married off than stay home and be exposed to the boys and the sexual whatever life that's like the kid would rather be married off. I mean at 14, at 13.
Now, something that we need to clear off right now is that these are of course enlisted in the causes, but the fact is that we should not condone, like we should not, all this comes from ignorance. Much as somebody may present reasons and say, instead of dying, let me get some dowry from this, or let me get something from this. Much as that reason can be presented, it is ignorance basically, and we cannot accept that. Which is why we need to sensitize these people. I believe there are ways in which we can get to what we want, minus using our girls or our children, because now for somebody of 9 years, that is a child. We cannot do that, like we cannot use them as objects. Because why not the boys? In case you're in that very same situation, but you don't have girls, you only have boys, what would you do? Are you not going to still look for a way into that? Now, in another report that was published, you talked of BDBD.
Yeah.
That at the border. The culture there is that if somebody is found to be pregnant, those people marry off. What can be done to sensitize those people?
Well, thank you. From the very beginning, I think that we should address this from the grassroots. Like prevent her pregnancies from happening. Prevent these girls from engaging at an early age. Yeah, through sexual education, educating them about their rights, sensitizing the masses so that you do not marry someone, you do not engage someone younger. There are very many people out there who would be interested. Yeah? So yes. It should be from the grassroots by engaging the community. And if this happens, if it so happens and this child gets pregnant, can we take care of this child until she gives birth? There are also initiatives that support girl-child education. There are school fees and scholastics. Can we take the child back after she has given birth? It doesn't necessarily have to be formal education. She can go and study something else, like vocational studies, so that she can have something to do even when she has her child at home. Yeah.
Now, you talked of that sensitization. Government came up with efforts to have sex education in schools. But it first, their efforts were welcomed with a resistance, especially from the religious leaders, because they feel exposing this at a very tender age, then you're spoiling them. Do you feel it is right for us to publicize this information to the children, to tell them the plain truth concerning sexuality? Or should we conceal this information and wait for them at a certain age? For example, we can say it only starts in secondary where students have attained a certain age. Regardless, we have students or pupils who mature at different times. This one might be 16 when he's studying with those who are 12 or 10. What can we do?
Thank you. Actually, on that case, I would say usually, like this era, imagine we have phones and gadgets and laptops and what. So clearly, if a child or someone wants any kind of information, they would definitely get it from the internet, right?
Yes.
So use. I think what the government should have done, I don't know what they did or the steps they took, but I feel like they would have first engaged the religious leaders and maybe the school stakeholders and all that, and they make the comprehensive sexuality education whatever with them, and then they see how maybe it will affect them or what, and then they do it formally to bring it to the schools, not making it themselves and then bringing it to the, because definitely the religious leaders will know it's, I don't know, like obviously you're spoiling the kids. But all I'm trying to say is, actually, an example is when I was young, in my primary, I studied from Bara Municipal. Those guys used to do, I can't say it was like comprehensive sexuality education,
yes,
but we used to get like these sessions, especially girls, like they would sit us down with the senior women and the matrons, and then they tell us things like, you know, about menstruation and then what to do. Like they tell you the facts, as in, instead of hiding it, as in, imagine a kid would be like, what is that they're hiding from me that they don't want me to do?
Exactly.
As in, you would rather give someone information and then they do whatever they want to do with it. Okay, I'm not saying maybe primary maybe it's too early, like maybe.
But if I can come in primary we study reproduction.
P6.
Yes, we study that. Isn't that a basis for us to continue and build on that? We also have guidance and counseling in primary. And you see what happens in that is that you're only given do's, rather don'ts.
Yeah.
Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And that insinuates a certain child to dig deeper. What is it that they are? Yes.
Yeah.
It is in humanity and in kind for us to know what is being concealed. Should we change the way we are handling that?
Like there's a certain network, there's a bigger network called the Girls Not Brides, like globally. Girls Not Brides, globally. Like it's in the programs to end child marriage and teenage pregnancies. And then here in Uganda we have a national network now, the Girls Not Brides Uganda. Like it has members around the nation. So like now that us, like Youth Fraternity for Change, definitely with the data we collect through our reports and then all that, being members, meaning we petition for the decision making and the policy making. So they were on the way to make the comprehensive sexuality education part of the curriculum. Like we want to engage, like they and us, and like all the members want to engage the parliament so that they, like, it should be on the curriculum, whether starting from a certain stage, maybe in primary, or from P6 and then also secondary and what. These are things like those people need, like the girls, the boys, and usually the mistake I think we've always done is trying to engage girls, not the boys. And if you engage them both, it's actually, boys will take on now the responsibility and be the change agents we want them. Because we will not end child marriage or the teenage pregnancies if we don't involve the perpetrators. And the boys are the perpetrators, the men are the perpetrators.
You've chipped in something very, very interesting, which I want to have as a basis for her to help us. One, we have very many organizations that fight for the rights just like you people are. There are very many out there, both national, international, even locally, like you're based here in Bara and the Sinji. But do you feel you have what it takes for you to cause a change? And we realize to the realization of a very huge reduction in the number of cases that we are witnessing. Does your voice, like, can your voice do any change to this?
Oh yeah, thank you. Well, yes, I believe we can make a change. Because even during this COVID pandemic, there is quite a lot that's going on out there. Of course, we can't reach on the ground, but we send some materials, we make calls. So there is quite a lot we've been doing, and we are sure we can make a change. Yeah.
Then the other point that she mentioned was those interventions so far of bringing the perpetrators, the would-be perpetrators, who are the boys and the men. It sounds as a very good plan, but how is it going to stop this person who is feeling the urge to engage in that act from stopping?
Well, like I told you earlier, to cut this down, we need to start from the grassroots. Because I do not think there is, most of these men that, we look at different categories of men or boys that engage, different types of girls and women, but usually men who engage younger girls are people who use drugs, people like dropouts, those kinds of men or rather boys. So in this case, if we were to address this, if we wanted to we still want to involve the boys and the men since they are the perpetuators. Because if you involve them, you teach them about the disadvantages of involving these young girls. Like the same could happen to his sister or to his daughter. I don't think he would want it for his daughter.
Yes.
So if you taught him about, if you engage this girl while she's young, she'll have health complications, and in turn this will impact on your kids, and this will happen because we see that even when these children marry, even if they settle with these men or boys, their marriages do not last. And it in turn has an impact on their children. And in turn, those children, usually, they also face the same fate like their parents. So I do not think there is any man who would hear something like that and they would want to do the same to someone else, so having told them about the disadvantages and how we can cut this down, besides it's just a mindset, I'm sure we would change this and we would make the men our champions.
Indeed, we need to change the mindset of each and everyone right away, starting from the actual convicts to the victims, to the parents, to the society, to anyone who is a human being out there. We request everyone that is watching to send in your feedback concerning this very issue. What do you think are the causes? Which causes are we not tackling? If these organizations are in place, and they're already doing something, why is it not bringing the numbers down? And also, which interventions should we have on board and how can we implement them? All this and much more as we discuss just after the break. Remember to send in your feedback. Thank you very much.
Hello there, I'm Sankara Beruhanga from Empower Youth in Technology. The virus has brought the world to the knees. #RIP is now trending, and yet treating COVID-19 is much expensive. I thus appeal to you, let's respect SOPs and be keen to ourselves. We will surely celebrate more birthdays, many more years to come.
All other social gatherings are only allowed with a maximum of 20 people. Online prayers are encouraged.
Youth TV enables your event to reach more numbers. To have your event live on Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, call us now 0705 909 760 or 0781 557 245. At Youth TV, we connect audiences for the best of your event.
Do you have Uganda at heart? How about buying products made in Uganda by Ugandans from a Ugandan online shop anywhere, anytime?
Introducing GuzaUG.com, a one-stop center for Uganda's locally made products. Buy Uganda, build Uganda.
I am Ugandan. So a few days ago, you joined the crowds in the market for your fresh foods. You'd equally brave the risky streets, exposing yourself to the virus.
Cut the hustle. If you're in Mbarara, all your fresh fruits can now find you on your doorstep. Download Let's Farm Shop app from Play Store to order now.
Hello there, I'm Sankara Beruhanga from Empower Youth in Technology. The virus has brought the world to the knees. Hashtag RIP is now trending, and yet treating COVID-19 is much expensive. I thus appeal to you, let's respect SOPs and be keen to ourselves. We will surely celebrate more birthdays, many more years to come.
All other social gatherings are only allowed with a maximum of 20 people. Online prayers are encouraged.
Youth TV enables your event.
Yes, welcome back everyone watching us here at Youth TV. The program on right now is the Youth Feedback, a program that features at the comfort of your screens every Sunday at 11 a.m. And we discuss very important issues that affect us as the youth as we provide the solutions. Here we encourage everyone who can access to share their mind and enable those who are the stakeholders to get to know what the public has as an opinion concerning what should be done and how it can be done. Just before the break, we discussed the causes, and we were able to know what is currently happening concerning teenage pregnancies, which consequently lead to early marriages. And we have seen the causes, amongst which is poverty, amongst which is the parents themselves conniving with the perpetrators, and also peer pressure and other factors like drugs, and which of course affect those who eventually do the actions. Also, we looked at what can be the possible interventions to this, and we saw that we should engage those who are the perpetrators to this. We can have them on board and become part of the plan that we can use to fight. The approach that we have, even in the health sector, like now for the vaccine of COVID, you get the exact virus, you weaken it, and then it becomes the basis from which you can fight the virus. I think that is the same approach we need to use. We can engage the fathers, the boys themselves, to at least help us, because these are our sisters, these are our parents, these are our whatever. Then also we requested everyone to send in the feedback, and good enough few people, some of them have already sent the feedback. We have Cornelius Wang, who says, I do believe that sex education should be periodic and in accord with the stage of growth in life. So he says that we need to have sex education based on a certain age. It should not be revealed, but rather concealed to some people until they attain a certain age. He continues to say that there is a certain level of information a brain can contain at a given stage in life. The way this kind of information is used depends on how it is disseminated. For example, if it is programs, there are certain programs which are meant for certain audience. However, this shouldn't be entirely bestowed at school level. Parents would be the best initiators of sex education. Thank you very much, Cornelius Wang, for this very good communication. He brings in something very interesting, which I believe we shall discuss in the interventions that we can both do and what we can ask the stakeholders to implement. Then also, Aine Rachel is congratulating one of you for the way you articulated your issues. So now, as we conclude and finalize on the interventions that we have that are already in place, how can we have these parents sensitized to be the first people to break the ground concerning sex education?
Thank you. Actually, for family plays a very big role in society. Like, these are, let's say, stereotypes, like stereotyping and gender roles and gender bias, the norms. Parents are the, okay, we were at a convening early this year, and something was pointed out, like they showed us a documentary, like how parents like embed, like, I don't know, like things or roles into children from like the stage down, like from birth, as in like girls and boys. We have always known girls, they play with dolls and makeup and what, and then boys play with aeroplanes and these nice fancy cars and yeah. But then you can imagine if from the word go they give girls like cars and the aeroplanes and the engineering stuff, plus also the dolls. Then also the guys, they give them their fancy cars and also give them the dolls and also make them like cook and all that, so that they know from, as in, no one is different, like girls and boys are not different. So meaning also with the sexuality education, like I think it's been only, especially in the Banyankore culture and the Ankole region, that the auntie from the paternal side is the one to, you know, give you such sessions about the sexuality thingy. I wish they would, like, it would be made a routine, like a must do for every aunt from the paternal side. Like when a girl reaches a certain stage, and then for the boys it's the uncle, I think also from the paternal side, they're like at 15, all girls in the family, as long as you clock 15, you will go to your aunties for a certain time, and then they will tell you this and that, the do's and the don'ts, and then you know if I do this, these are the results that will come from my actions. And also one thing that now the interventions that we do is especially now for the girls that are in school, we are supporting them to actually stay in school. And then for those that, unfortunately, definitely the girls who are not in school. And just because they are not in school doesn't mean their life is over, no? So this is how we help them, like with life skills. Life skills are how you get through life, like every kind of situation, be it problem solving, be it any kind, you can get through with life skills. Because with life skills, you attain communication skills, especially assertiveness. And when you are assertive, I'm not sure now, especially for the girls that are not in school, they won't be easily, like, you know, persuaded into risky behavior. With life skills, one will know I have a goal to set, like I need a vision. With life skills, you will have decision making, and that will really, really help for the girls that are not in school, even for the girls in school, but the girls that are not in school are the most vulnerable. Yeah?
You've highlighted something very important, which is something to do with empowerment. If I was asked the solution to end all this is child empowerment.
Yeah, like
especially the girl child. We empower this girl child, which is what I want to ask. Of course, for us who watch something material from outside in these developed countries, it is very normal at a tender age something between 10 to 15 years, to come and tell your parents, you know what, I have a girlfriend, I have a boyfriend. And it is normal for you to have that. Which is, on the contrary, for us here in Uganda and in Africa, you only get to know this information on your own. Your parents will never call you to say, you know what, this is what you're going to do. This is how. They even confess that sex is good, which is something they shy away from. Okay? They tell you it is bad, things like that, which causes them to look for you. Now, what should this parent who is watching us now, and this parent has a girl child, it can also be a boy child, how can we empower our children? One, not to shy away from the facts that are going to either cause us trouble, and how can we empower them so that if a certain boy comes and tells a girl, you're beautiful, it is not the first time this girl is listening to such. She has already heard that from the parent has already said she's beautiful, and there's nothing new that you're bringing. Yes.
Well, thank you. And to the parents out there, the best way to empower their children, both, you said male and female, right?
Yes.
Yeah, is to provide these children with relevant information. For example, just like we discussed earlier, if you open up to your child and
it is now the parent, not through the aunties.
No, the parents. Because, okay, growing up, some of us didn't have a chance to, engage with our relatives.
Yes.
And I'm sure very many people out there were also deprived of that. So I think it is the parents' role to open up to these children and tell them the reality. So if they go out there, they know what to do, they know what to expect. Things like, if I get engaged in risky behavior, because if we look at child marriage, we look at the causes, not only what has happened, but how it has happened. Yeah, we look at most of these kids some of these children that get married because they have gotten pregnant. And how have they gotten pregnant? Because they got engaged with bad company, bad peers, or because they've been using drugs, So if you tell this child, you know what, if you start smoking, if you start drinking, if you befriend people who are not straight, you're going to have problems. Or if someone tells you this is what they mean, this is how you're supposed to respond.
Yes. Because
it is not good. Yeah.
So as we conclude on the interventions, very many things have come up. For those areas of the refugees, and there is something that they have done which is called prophylaxis treatment, so that when a girl is engaged in such, what they do immediately, maybe after you've been raped, you're put on that treatment in case that the person who did that was infected with HIV, to at least cause you not to contract the disease. But that has to be done in time.
Yeah.
Then also there is an application which was launched by the minister, by then the state minister for gender. And there is an application that is out there. It is for those who are watching us, there's an application that is available on your Play Store and also on your Apple Store called SafePal. It is an application that is there for anyone who is engaged in anything. You want to report such cases, it is easier. Technology is here to. So please, everyone who is out there in society, you need to be aware of that application and you report. In case you need to know how to use it, all that information is on the internet. As we conclude, I would like to first of all have every one of you look into the camera and you tell this parent what is supposed to be done. How, like you describe, you give a narrative, a brief narrative of this parent upbringing the child to a point where she is able to resist anything that is to do with engaging her in either early marriages or early pregnancies.
Thank you. For all parents, I would advise to equip their girls and boys with life skills. Honestly, life skills do the magic. I can't lie. For either for the adults, either for the youth, or the girls and boys who are between whatever age. Life skills are the magic. Because with life skills, like I'd already said, with assertiveness through communication skills and the decision making and the goal setting and like problem solving and critical thinking, and it changes the game. It will change the game for the parents themselves and for the children.
What do you have for this parent who has a child, girl child, and wants to empower her?
Well, thank you. Once again, I'll stick on my point. Charity begins at home. So my point here is that these children should, rather these parents need to, I would say, groom or raise their kids in a manner that, equip these children with relevant information right from childhood. Things like, if this happens, please tell me. And these parents also need to, I think, have a good attitude towards these kids, because if a parent is rough on a child, she will not open up if anything happens. Yeah. So they need to provide these children with relevant information and support them. Case in point, we have a case of Kasese, where girls were doing transactional sex for sanitary towels. So I'm thinking they do not necessarily have to be these nice ones from supermarkets. But if a parent can improvise and provide this child with this small thing that she needs for just a few days, I'm sure all these, to some extent, would not happen. So provide your kids with relevant information and support them if you can.
Yes, building to that, there are already efforts. We saw previously Shiba, the artist, came out to have pads distributed equally to all the girls, like those girls. And also, at least they were reusable in case for somebody who might not afford buying daily. And also, as we conclude, I would like to, of course, have you say a final word on your efforts as Youth Fraternity for Change. Highlight the accomplishments that you have in Mbarara and Isindiro, as you said. I will start with you.
Well, apparently, during the pandemic, like right now, there is quite a lot we are doing out there, to curb child marriages. For example, we have girl champions in villages. These girls are like our representatives. Where we are not, they are there. Apparently, they go distributing flyers, like sticker flyers. These are sort of like commitment reminders to these girls in our target communities. So they committed themselves to stay in school like before all this happened. So these girl champions go there with those sticker flyers to remind them of their commitments they made with us. While they do that, they observe the SOPs. We gave them masks, sanitizer.
So they are essential.
They are essential, yeah. So that is one. We have girl champions in villages doing that. They're reminding these girls, you made a commitment, you must keep safe. You must not indulge in risky behavior, apparently. Yeah, then we also involved village leaders, like religious and political leaders, where these religious leaders agreed that during each service or Muslim prayers, they would be preaching or decampaigning child marriages, because usually during prayers very many people attend, but now they don't. So what these religious leaders do, they provide counseling sessions to these children at risk. For example, child-headed families, and then children from families at risk. Yes.
Then the communications officer, because I believe you discuss at depth what programs she has implemented. Yes.
Thank you. Actually, now that the pandemic is here, before the pandemic, we had fortunately already equipped our girls with skills to make reusable sanitary pads. So now that is not an issue. They know how to make the sanitary pads. We actually want to make it sustainable so that they can actually make money out of that. In the pandemic, right now we are doing media engagement, like creating awareness to the communities, the societies, and the local leaders. Then to add on what Brenda said, for the like involving leaders that are following up, like creating a supporting and enabling environment for the girls. I mean, even if, okay, right now, even if we like equip girls with skills and everything, we need information and all that, without the support of the parents and then the local leaders, we are doing nothing.
Yes.
Clearly. Yeah, so we need the leaders on board, and the girls and the parents and the community, yeah, to be on board. That is when the actual impact, happens.
Thank you very much, Akampurira Praise, who is the Communications and Advocacy Officer, Youth Fraternity for Change, and also Agaba Brenda, who is the Assistant Programs Officer of the same organization. And to the viewers, we can never thank you enough for taking the chance and the opportunity to watch this from where it started up to the end. Thank you very much. And this session is always accessible. In case you missed out on the live session, you can always find this very session